Want to give a shout out to all of my patrons. Thank you so much for all of the continued support. So it is the first of the month, and that means it's time to talk about my June to be read list, commonly referred to as the June TBR. But before we go into the books, let's talk about my May TBR contest. So you may know about this, but each month I run a contest where you predict how I will score all of the books that I plan on reading in the upcoming month. The top 3 spots win, and the winners are highlighted in my TBR video, and if you win twice, you get to pick a book for me to read and review. So last month, we had a high of 117 contestants, and I hope you'll join this month. Click the link down in the description to officially submit your picks. But I do suggest that you watch this whole video, because if you watch it, you're going to hear the insight into what I think about these books, my preconceived notions, and that might help you more accurately make your picks. So, for this past month, the TBR winner of the gold medal was 𝐓𝐿, who got 8 out of 10 correct, which is astoundingly high, and he was only off the average score by 0.05. The silver medal goes to Jimmy Spinky, who also got an 8 out of 10 correct, but he was off by an average score of 0.15. And the bronze medal is a 3-way tie between Fantasy Fanatic, Cat Mick, and Steve Z, who all got 7 out of 10 correct, and they were off by an average score of 0.05. There were 9 others who got 7 out of 10 correct, but their average scores were lower, so they lost on a tiebreaker. So sorry to you. I personally only predicted 6 out of 10 correct. So let's talk about the books that most people got right. And that was Magician Master. This is part of the Rift War Saga by Raymond D. Feist. And 108 out of 117 got that right, which is 92.3%. And in part, the reason for this is because I rated it a 4.5. So everyone who guessed a 4 or a 5 got a point. And in my TBR video, I said that I had already read like half of it and I was already leaning towards like a 4. And so it felt like cheating to, I feel like almost everybody should have got that one right. But if you go to the next one, the next highest percentage for a full score was The Last Light. This is part of The Wandering Inn by 𝗂𝐿, in which 93 out of 117 got correct. And they guessed right that I would give it a 5, and that's 82.9%. So good job guessing, everybody. The book that most people got wrong was The Wolf. This is part of the Under the Northern Sky series by Leo Carew, and only 8 out of 117 correctly guessed that I would give it a 5. The worst score for the month was 1 out of 10, shared by 2 people, and the average score right was 4.8 out of 10. So now, let's talk about the 9 books that I plan on reading this month, and give you a little insight about what I'm thinking about them. So the first book is The Howling Dark. This is the second book in the Sun Eater series by Christopher Ruocchio. I'm reading this on a Kindle, should finish it up around June 6th. This one is 687 pages, coming out to about 197,000 words. And I am going to predict that I'm going to give this a 5-star prediction. And in part, I'm predicting this because I gave the first book a 5 out of 5. And I've heard from a lot of people that the second book is even better than the first one. So naturally, you would think that if that's the predominant opinion, that at least I'm going to give this one a 5 out of 5, right? Well, I have heard from other people recently that read this. I know that in my Discord, Doan mentioned that he didn't like it and stopped reading it, and he'll have to go back to it later. So that worries me because we agree on a lot of stuff. And in general, I'm oftentimes a contrarian when it comes to stuff because I don't research books before I read them. I just jump in, and a lot of times I end up with a very opposite opinion. So who knows what's going to happen here, but I'm sticking true to my 5-star prediction. The number 2 book that I'm going to be reading is The Blade Itself. This is the first book in the First Lost series by Joe Abercrombie. This is a reread for me. The first time that I read it, I gave it a 4 out of 5. I'm doing this on audiobook, and I should finish this around June 7th. It's 529 pages and at about 191,000 words. And I'm going to predict a 5-star prediction, even though I gave it a 4-star the first time. Now, this might be a little bit of a risky prediction for me, but as I look back on the first law, I think such positive feelings. And I almost feel like I gave this one a 4 because I was reading the biggest hits at the time. I read this a while ago. And so compared to some other books, I ranked it lower. But now that I've read many hundreds of fantasy books, as I look back on it, maybe I'll give it a 5. I am currently listening to this on audiobook, and I will say that I feel mixed about it. On one hand, I feel like obviously an easy 5. The writing is just that good. Abercrombie is a genius, and the words just ooze out, and I feel like he could write anything, and I'm just going to be soaked up into the world. But this plot moves like molasses. There's basically no plot. It's just it's a lot of character building, and it's like a book about nothing. And I kind of was joking around on my Discord earlier that it kind of reminds me of like a really dark medieval Seinfeld, where it's funny in a dark way and nothing's happening. But so I don't know. We'll see. Could be a 4, could be a 5. Probably not anything lower than that though. Number 3 is Waybound. This is the final book in the Cradle series, and this comes out on June 6th, and you can bet that I'm going to be reading this the moment it comes out. This is by Will White, and I'm going to be reading it on Kindle. I should finish this on June 11th. It's about 500 pages, although I'm thinking it's going to be bigger. I saw like a picture of it, and it looks way bigger than the previous ones. So I don't know how many pages. He hasn't released it yet, and I don't know how many words. But I'm going to go on a limb and say I'm predicting a 3-star rating because I just have this fear that this book is not going to stick the landing. I thought the second to last book was not great. I think I gave it a 3.5. And I'm just really worried that we're moving in the wrong direction. And I kind of feel like it's rudderless at this point, and he doesn't know how it's supposed to finish. Maybe I'm wrong. I hope I'm wrong. I'm kind of this pessimistic guy a lot of times because I feel like I especially do this in sports with my sports teams. I was like, oh, they're not going to win, whatever. Because then it gets the disappointment out of the way. And if they lose, I don't get crushed. But if they win, I get excited still. Where if I get really excited and they let me down, and then it goes the other way. So with that basic philosophy of keeping my life happier, I'm predicting 3 stars. Now, number 4 is Dungeon Crawler Carl. This is part of the Dungeon Crawler Carl series by Matt Dinniman. I'm going to be doing this one on audiobook, which I hear is amazing. I should finish this up around June 16th. This is 446 pages at about 133,000 words, and I am predicting 5 stars. Now, I don't know much about this book. I do know a few things, though, and the things that I've heard are awesome. One is that I think it's like a progression fantasy lit RPG. I like that kind of stuff. I'm addicted to that kind of stuff, and I hear this is one of the best. It just seems zany and fun, and those are my kind of things. I don't need this literary masterpieces to make me entertained, although I do appreciate it when that happens. Looking at you, Steven Erikson and Patrick Rothfuss and Robin Hobb. But I can also just, turn off my brain for a little bit and have a lot of fun. And I think that's what this is going to be. So 5-star prediction from Matt. Number 5 is Hyperion. Hyperion is the winner of the Patreon vote. So every month on Patreon, I put up 5 books, and everyone on my Patreon, which are on tiers 2 and up, get to vote on it. And this one won by a good amount, and there were some really good books in that mix. This is part of the Hyperion Cantos series by Dan Simmons. I'm going to be doing this physically on Kindle. I should finish this up around June 16th, and it's 496 pages, and it is about 178,000 words. And I'm also going to predict a 5-star. Now, I don't know if I should predict a 5-star, though. I wrote this down, and I'm sticking to it. But now that I think about it, I feel like maybe a 4-star, but I'm sticking to 5. Because I don't love sci-fi. I do love some sci-fi. But in general, sci-fi gets a little bit lower on my list. But this is like the sci-fi book. Everyone talks about it as being one of the seminal works. I've heard literally nothing but good things about it. And now that's a worry because that's happened to me other times, like when I read the 5th season, and I felt like the only person in the universe that absolutely hated it. I felt like that a number of times with these like super popular works. But I think this one transcends that. And so I'm really hoping that I can be with you all and love this one as much as seemingly everybody else does. Number 6 is the Patreon raffle choice. So also on Patreon, if you are tiers 2 and up, you get to put a book into a raffle. I spin the wheel, and whatever wins, I have to read and review. And this month, it was 𝐓𝐿𝐿ryside. This is part of the Founders Trilogy by Robert Jackson Bennett, an author that I did not have a great experience with recently when I read The Divine Cities. I forgot the book name, A City of Stairs, and I gave it a 2 out of 5. But I noted there that I actually did kind of like the writing. The plot got directionless. So if that gets fixed, then I'm going to like it. I'm going to be reading this physically on Kindle. Should finish this up around June 21st. It's another 500 or so page book. This one's at 512 and 150,000 words. And I'm going to guess 4 stars. I don't know anything about this. Literally nothing. I'm basing my 4-star prediction based on the fact that I thought there was a lot of promise to this author, and I'm kind of giving him another shot. So we'll see. Number 7 is The Fall. This is the second book in the Bound of the Broken series, or like 1.5 or 0.5. It's a novella, and I don't know if it takes place before the first one or after the first one. But this is by Ryan Cahill, or Cahill, I think is how you say it. I'm doing this one on Kindle. I should finish this one around June 22nd. And this is only 96 pages, super short, and it's only 29,000 words. And I am going to predict 3 stars. Predicting 3 stars because I normally just don't like novellas. They're not for me. I've never given a novella 5 stars. Maybe this is the one to break the trend. I have heard amazingly good things about this one. That the problems that I had with the first book in the series, even though there weren't a lot of them, I gave it a 4 out of 5 stars, get fixed in this novella and then fixed throughout the rest of the series. And that the pacing was a little slow. And so we'll see. But I'm guessing 3 stars. Number 8 is Gods of the Weirdwood, or I don't know how to say it, but you can see the cover right there. This is part of the Forsaken trilogy by R.J. Barker, an author that I thoroughly love from the Tide Child trilogy. I'm reading this one on Kindle. I already have it, even though it comes out, I think, on June 27th, and I'm predicted to finish this one on June 26th. This is one 641 pages at about 155,000 words, and I'm going to guess 4 stars. 4 stars because, one, I don't know anything about this. I love R.J. Barker, but I also don't love some R.J. Barker because I also read another series of R.J. Barker. I forgot what it was now. It's that forgettable, and I didn't love it. I didn't like it. So, yeah, we'll see. I think it was like an assassin story. How am I already forgetting it? It was like literally last month, but that's how much I didn't like it. But that was the first series. This one's his second series. This one's his third. So the second was Tide Child, which is one of my all-time favorite trilogies. Each one of those books was a 5 out of 5 for me. So let's hope that trend continues. But 4-star, I'm hedging my bet. Even though I almost guarantee it won't be 4 stars. It'll be like 5 or 3 or something like that, but we'll see. Then the last book is Jade Shards. This is part of the Greenbone Saga. This comes out on July 1st, but I got it early. And this is by Fonda Lee, comes out on Kindle. Should finish this one around June 27th. It is very short. It's 136 pages. And it is 32,000 words. And I am predicting 3 stars. For the same reason as The Fall, I just don't love novellas. But I love the Greenbone Saga, so maybe I'll change my mind there. Side point, it's so weird, but I cannot get accepted on any books for NetGalley. NetGalley is a service where people who review books, you don't have to be like, have a presence or anything. Just if you promise to review the book, they'll often send you books for free. So check it out if you ever want, books to review and you get them early. But I literally can't get accepted. I don't know what the problem is. I think I'm like blacklisted. I had to email the publisher and then they physically manually approved me on NetGalley, but I was not going to get approved otherwise. So very strange, but I'm glad I got it. And let's see what Fonda Lee has in her pocket on Jade Shards. So those are the 9. Go take part in the TBR contest. Put your predictions in. I can't wait to see them. have a lot of fun with this thing, and come join the Discord to play along, because every single time that I update my scores after I finish a book, I update the spreadsheet, we talk about it, we see where you are, how much you got to go. Then you can, it's like a kind of like a fantasy football thing, because you get to see like, oh, I really hope that it gets this because other people voted this. You can kind of do the math and figure it out. It's a lot of fun. Come to the Discord if you haven't already and participate. And even if you don't, enter the contest. It's a lot of fun. So that's it for me. Thank you so much for watching as always, and happy reading to you. Thanks again to all my patrons, with a special shout out to my Ascendant tier and Librarian tier patrons: Anna G, Brian, CJ, Darren, Jonathan, My Book is Lit, Nathan T, Nev's Book Channel, Ron Reich, Russell, Ryan L, Anna, Andra, Angelo, Ben, Blair, Brock, Evan, Fanixan, Harry B, Jamie, Jeff Pixler, Maria, Michael Sugarman, Sky, and Zion.